Hey everyone, Devin here. So I wanted to do a video about real talk for moms. I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups of mom stuff, and I saw someone posting recently about finding they had an ovarian cyst while they were pregnant, and they were totally worried about it. And there was a whole bunch of comments of other people who have been through the same thing, and I've been through the same thing, but nobody really talks about it, and it can be super scary to hear those words when you are pregnant. So I wanted to make a video about it because it is something I've been through, and I'd love to help if you are going through that, or if you're worried about going through that in the future, and how I dealt with it and how it ended up turning out. So let me begin by saying that when I was pregnant with my daughter, it was my second pregnancy, and I had a lot of ultrasounds with her because my first pregnancy was a loss. And so I was getting a ultrasound around 23 weeks, and it was a longer one than usual because the tech I went to see had a new machine, and she'd let me know before that she was doing some training on it and that it was going to take some time, more time than usual. And I was fine with that as long as everything was fine with my baby. And as she was going through, everything seemed fine. And then she goes, "Has anyone ever said anything to you about your right ovary?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then she just kept going on. And I thought that was kind of weird, but she said that the baby looked great, and she told me that she couldn't be for sure, but she thought it was a girl. And I thought that was super exciting. So it was during COVID, and my husband was waiting in the car for me. So when I came back, he felt super relieved because he was also nervous because of our first pregnancy. And I told him that she thought the baby was a girl, and he didn't want to get his hopes up because he always wanted a girl. So he was like, "Oh yeah, but she said she wasn't sure." So we went about our lives, and when I went to my next midwife appointment, she went over everything the tech sent, and how it was fine. And then I said to her, "Well, she did say something about my right ovary." And she goes, "Oh yes, it says here that there's a cyst." And I was like, what?" And she was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's probably nothing to be worried about, but I'm going to send you to an OB, and don't worry, you're still going to be in my care, but we're going to share care for you because of this." And I started freaking out. And she was like, "No, don't worry, don't worry." And I was like, "Yeah, okay," but I was freaking out. And of course, the appointment wasn't for a few days, so I had that like at the top of my mind for a while. And then I went to the OB, and the OB had an ultrasound tech in his office, and she was looking at the cyst. And then he talked to me, and he said, "Yeah, you have a cyst. It's pretty big. It's 6 centimeters." And I was like, "Oh my God." And he was like, "You're gonna have to come back for another appointment. We're going to monitor it, make sure it's not growing or obstructing anything for the baby. And yeah, we will move on from there." And I wish I'd said at the time, but I was like thinking, well, what is it? Like, where's the cyst coming from? Um, but he didn't say anything about that. I guess, if he just thought that it was common or something, I don't know, but I was worried. And so I tried to put it out of my mind, and my husband was a little bit unimpressed that the OB didn't say anything about what the cyst was. And then eventually, we went back, and they were monitoring it for the rest of my pregnancy, and it hadn't grown or anything. And then when because of this and because of my history, he decided that I needed to be induced early at 37 weeks. So I was induced, and then I had my daughter, and she had to go in the NICU just for like 36 hours or something like that, because of her lungs weren't quite ready, and she had a little bit of jaundice. And then everything was fine after that. And then I had to go back to him to monitor the cyst and have more ultrasounds about that. And he ended up saying, "Oh, I think it's endometriosis." And then that really freaked me out because, you hear with endometriosis, people have trouble with pregnancy and pain and all that. And I told my husband, and I was like, I don't know if that's it. Like, I don't feel like that's right, because my periods have always been super easy. I've never even had a cramp in my whole life. Like, I don't know what a period cramp feels like. And I've heard that endometriosis is super painful, like debilitating for some women, and I just don't think that's right. And he agreed with me, and so we both were like, well, if that is what it is, our hearts are full with our daughter. We're just happy that she's healthy and here and safe, and if we never have more children, then so be it. So he eventually scheduled me for a surgery, a day surgery. And so that ended up happening when my daughter was 8 months. So this was going on for basically like a year. And he removed the cyst around when my daughter was 8 months. It was a day surgery. And I remember kind of being like, this feels like a date with my husband, because it's the first time that my daughter wasn't with us. So we had dropped her with my mom, and she was like, oh, don't worry about her, she's gonna be great, and you guys just take care of this surgery and get it over with. So we went, and we were relaxing and in the hospital like prep area. And then they wheeled me in, and that was a little freaky, being in an operating room, because I'd never been in one before. And they put me under, and they removed the cyst. And then I remember waking up in the like recovery area and being like so groggy and like tired, and like, whoa, that felt like it was 1 second, but it was probably like hours, I don't know. And then he ended up coming back to me when I was more with it. So my husband came to me as soon as they told him he could, and then the OB came to me, and he was like, oh yeah, it's not endometriosis, it was just a random cyst that came because of hormones, so probably grew because of the pregnancy, and there's nothing to worry about. We removed it, and we were able to save 70% of that ovary. And I was like, oh, okay. And in my head, I was like, oh, like I didn't even consider that could have made the ovary like go away or whatever. And I never felt any pain from it or anything like that. And everybody was like, oh, 6 centimeters, that's huge. Especially not to feel it, but luckily I didn't, because I'm sure that can be very painful for people. But yeah, so that ended up being such a relief. So it was kind of something that was super scary at first, and then something I kind of just tried to put to the back of my mind and accept for like a whole year. And then when the surgery came, and it was just because of hormones, I felt really great about that. I also felt kind of like, oh, that sucks, I never had to have surgery, and I had to have surgery because of this thing that just grew because of hormones. But it was a pretty easy recovery. At like the day after, I was like, oh my god, my cut is like 1 centimeter, but I feel like my guts are gonna fall out. I was like, C-section moms are warriors because they have to go through this with those incisions way bigger. So yeah, if you end up going through that, if you are pregnant and you're told you have a cyst, or at any point if you're told you have a cyst, it can be so scary to hear that. But I just want to let you know, at least from my story, that it wasn't what you might think it is, like the big scary C word. It can be just something as simple as a hormonal accident that grew something that shouldn't be there, and you just have a little surgery, which I know surgery can be scary and being put under can be scary, but it's worth it. It ended up being fine in the end. And if you have any questions about that or about my journey, please feel free to comment or message me or anything. And yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I saw so many people talking about it in that one little post where a poor scared mom was like, has this ever happened to any of you? So if you are in that boat, that's my story, and I hope yours is as simple as mine too, if you're in that boat. Anyways, I will probably see how you guys like the real talk format and maybe post some more in the future. But for now, I will get going, and I hope that was helpful for you. Take care. Bye for now.